Ordinary Council meeting of the 10th of December 2024. I welcome to this meeting of the Pyrenees Shire Council. Councillors will today deliberate and decide on a range of matters relevant to the work of Council in its communities for the welfare of the people of the Pyrenees Shire. As the meeting chair, I give my consent for this Ordinary Council meeting to be streamed live, recorded and published online. Anyone who is invited to read out a question or make a submission will be recorded, and their voice, image and comments will form part of that live stream and recording. The chair and or the CEO have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances where deemed appropriate, and that may include where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory or potentially inappropriate to be published. The live stream will stop prior to the closed section of the meeting and will recommence for the conclusion of the meeting. The public is able to view this live stream via our website at www.pyrenees.vic.gov.au. Should technical issues prevent the continuation of the live stream, the meeting will continue as long as a quorum can be maintained, and where possible, a recording of the meeting will be published on Council's website. Where a quorum cannot be maintained, the meeting will be adjourned until the issue is resolved or the meeting postponed to another time and date in accordance with Council's governance rules. I will now move on to acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the people, past and present, of the Wadawurrung, Dja Dja Wurrung, Eastern Maar and Watchabolek tribes, whose land forms the Pyrenees Shire. We pay our respect to the customs, traditions and stewardship of the land by the elders and people of these tribes on whose land we meet today. I'll now move to item 4, which is apologies, and as we are all present, there are none. I now move to item 5, which is a notice of disclosure of interest by councillors and officers, and I do have a declaration of interest for item 12.2.6, and I will remove myself from the meeting at that time, and Councillor Ferrari will take the chair. I'll now move to item 6, which is the confirmation of the previous minutes. I have a recommendation that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of Council held on the 19th of November 2024 and the closed meeting of Council held on the same date as previously circulated to councillors be confirmed. Do I have a councillor, please, happy to move that? Thank you, Councillor Toll. Seconded, Councillor Ferrari. All those in favour? And those minutes are confirmed. Item number 7 is business arising. I don't believe there was any from the previous meeting, so we can move on to item number 8, which is public participation. The rules for public participation are outlined in our agendas, so I won't go through those, but please feel free to read them or look at them online to know exactly what they were. And we do have a question that has been, 2 questions that have already been submitted before the meeting today. And they are from Mr. Gary Swan from the District of Brewster. The first question, question number 1, is could Council please advise if they have received any minutes from RE Future for the community meetings of October the 10th and 17th. No residents have yet received any. May I ask Mr. Gowans to reply to that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Swan, for your question. Council has taken the liberty to contact RE Futures, and they have advised that minutes are currently being prepared and will be shared with the community when finalised.
Thank you. Our following question is, could Council provide any updated or updates on the decommissioning of the Met mast as indicated by RE Future from community meetings of October the 10th and 17th? Again, Mr. Gowans, would you respond?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Swan, for your secondary question. Advice from RE Future is that arrangements are being made to remove the mast during December or January. The exact time is not known at this point because the company is specialised in the field and works are dependent upon weather conditions and other factors. That advice has come directly from RE Futures, so it's our understanding that they have plans to remove it in the very near future.
Thank you, Mr. Gowans. Are there any other questions to be taken from the floor this evening? Thank you, Mr. Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry about my appearance, but I've come straight from the paddock. I have no chance to do anything. So I wanted to say this today, being the last council public meeting before Christmas this year, or the end of the year. For those who don't know me, my name's Trevor. I own a company called Silk Force, which is in Australia, New Zealand and China. And I live in the Pyrenees since owning my land in 2014. As an environment person, I've spent a lot of time, and I've only missed a few public meetings. I think in 10 years, I can't remember, but I think I've only missed about 4. My passion for the Shire and the council is actually unlimited. And this is for the benefit of people who've never heard me say this before. But I wanted to welcome the new councillors, personally, to your community position to support the Pyrenees Shire community and the council executives and the staff as they navigate these really difficult times we're in. And we are. It's a tough time. Our new councillors are not the board of directors. They are our community voted members that act on behalf of the community in those matters that require good judgment, honesty, transparency and integrity. So in the environment science, I have worked in the US, Canada, Singapore, South Africa, Japan, sorry, I'm exhausted, New Zealand and more, and all the states in Australia, and mainly worked with about 26 councils in Victoria. At Pyrenees Council, we're blessed with a solid, cohesive executive team. I've never seen one in any other shire, and that's the truth. And we're so blessed, the team that is led well and always supported each other. As the new councillors, I am sure your experience you gain from them will be worth every effort you make. Our time for petty differences and personal influences and indifferences is over. Excuse me. With great responsibility comes great power, the power of integrity as a councillor. I take the opportunity to welcome the challenge and the excitement that you guys have got in front of you. It's fantastic. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. And I wanted to remind you of those great words, excuse me, great words that President Roosevelt said years ago when everything was in crisis. He said that great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss them. Thank you. Have a good Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Davey. They were lovely words. Thank you. Any other questions from the gallery? Yes, Mr. Kirsenoff.
Yeah, George Kirsten, I was both a resident, citizen of the Pyrenees Shire. Car parking on the old school oval. Is there a process if a group, an organisation wants to use that for car parking to conduct some sort of event in the district? So that's a simple question. Is there a process? And if there is, what is it, please?
Am I able to throw that to Mr. Gowans? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Kirsenoff, for your question. Council has recently come into the possession of the old school, Beaufort School Oval. It purchased that site a number of years ago, but we've only recently finalised that purchase. Council has, in the meantime, been able to work with the previous owners of that land to use it for particular public events, and we've helped facilitate that. So I think if parking is for some one-off events, I think the process that we would ask any community member to go through would be through our events team. And Melissa Diamond is the key contact for that process if someone's got a particular use. That land has been identified in the Beaufort Linear Master Plan as a public open space area. That's not to say it can't be used for some one-off event type purposes, but it has been identified as public open space and does form part of the floodplain for the creek reserve that comes down from the Beaufort Lake. So those things do put some limitations on the land, but in terms of answering your question, yeah, Melissa Diamond would be the best contact to facilitate any one-off use.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gowans. And that sounds like exciting times ahead there, Mr. Kirsenoff. So thank you very much. Thank you for all that public participation again, and we do value our community's opinions and ideas, and thanks as well. So that's really lovely tonight. That brings us to item number 9, which is the items for noting, and 9.1 is a report from the Chief Executive Officer. So that is actually, you're happy for us just to note that report in regards to the councillors making their affirmation and oath of office. So I'll ask a councillor to move that recommendation that councillors note the report, and Councillor Phelan, and seconded Councillor Wardlaw, and all those in favour, and that's carried. That brings us to item number 10, which is the councillor activity reports. Again, may I have someone note those reports? The councillor moved that. Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Seconded Councillor Phelan. All those in favour? And that report is carried. Item 11 is in regards to Assembly of Councillors that we had during November, and those meetings there. May I have a councillor note those reports? Thank you, Councillor Toll. Seconded Councillor Wardlaw. All those in favour? And that report is noted as well. Now we move into the items for decision, and 12.1 is the Digital Connectivity Action Plan, and I now will hand over to Mr Nolan, please, to speak to that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is a fairly extensive report here prepared by our Manager Economic Development and Tourism in respect of digital connectivity across the Pyrenees Shire. And attached to this report is, in fact, the Digital Connectivity Plan. It's important from the outset here for Council to understand what Council's role in digital connectivity is. And in the main, Council's role is about advocacy. We're not the providers of the NBN, we're not the providers of mobile phone towers, and most of the activity around that relates to network providers, the Commonwealth Government and the state government to a lesser extent. It is fair to say, though, councillors, that the access to digital connectivity has been less than desirable in the Pyrenees Shire in recent years, and Council has had a history of advocating strongly for improved technology and infrastructure to enable improved connectivity, both for personal, for business, and for emergency response. The table within the chart identifies that it's a comparison of digital literacy in the Pyrenees community, and you can see from the scores available there that there is some improvement opportunity there for Pyrenees. It's a complex matter, and the details I'm not going to sort of get into, Madam Mayor or councillors, but I'll take that as having been read. Essentially, its purpose of the report is to actually just to highlight to the community and to councillors some of the work and the activity that that occurs. Apart from the advocacy role, one of the activities that Council has taken a proactive approach was in the STAND project. So the STAND was Strengthening Telecommunications Against Natural Disasters project. It's outlined in page 12. And this is where a number of those public assets across various halls and communities across the Shire were serviced with some technology and access to internet. Now, one of the challenges for Council into the future is that that project was only funded through that funding program for a limited period of time, and then there's a cost for ongoing internet connectivity associated with that. So there's some further advocacy around that specific one. Madam Mayor, I won't sort of go into any further detail other than perhaps just to recommend that Council notes the report and endorses Pyrenees Shire Council Connectivity Plan and the actions contained in that, and that Council continues to advocate on behalf of communities where improved connectivity is required.
Thank you, Mr Nolan. And I know this is an incredibly important area, not only just for accessibility, but also to provide safety and that across the Shire. And I know councillors have looked at that plan and have looked through this report to understand that. So I'll put that recommendation. Do I have a councillor willing to move a motion to that recommendation before us? Thank you, Councillor Wardlaw, maybe, and Councillor Phelan to second that. Yeah, open that to discussion. So would you like to speak to it first, Councillor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just to note, as I think people can see in the briefing, the importance in particular of addressing those black spots. And good to see that that's still on the agenda, because I have heard from some residents, I think particularly near Mount Lonark, that they're not getting some of the emergency messages. And so it's really critical that it, at the very least, they are receiving those emergency messages, apart from wanting connectivity for work purposes and personal purposes.
Yeah, gosh,
Thank you.
very apt to note that. Councillor Wardlaw, would you like to speak to it? You're happy with that? Any other councillors on that? I think that's really, really important. And there's been a number of access opportunities. So we've had the drop-in sessions that the NBN had gone across and looked at updating a number of the providers on people's houses, etc. Also, the Get Techie programs were an opportunity to be able to help people that may not be as over it as others. So they've been really good to happen across that. But there's a lot to do in this area, definitely with the advocacy and continuing to notify black spots. We thank the community for doing that, and please continue to do that. So with that motion before us, I will now put that to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried. Thank you very much for the effort that's gone into that report. We're now up to item 12.2.1, which is the Beaufort Golf Club request for emergency water. And this time, Mr. Gowans, thank you. Would you speak to that report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for council to consider whether to renew the expired agreement for use of water from Beaufort Lake for the Beaufort Golf Course for an additional period of 1 year, following a verbal request from the Beaufort Golf Club. Council officers were notified that the Beaufort Golf Club were unable to pump water from their recycled water storage tanks due to a power connection issue, and therefore have sought council consideration for the use of emergency irrigation water from the Beaufort Lake. Council officers have had further contact from the club, who have informed that even though there is a Central Highlands Water interim arrangement for water supply of mains water, this is not keeping up with the demand, and the majority of water is being lost to evaporation. The club would like council to consider providing a further allocation of water to the club from the Beaufort Lake. Council holds a licence to utilise the water from the lake for irrigation purposes and the ability to remove up to 30 megalitres per year, which equates to about 10% of the lake's capacity. Due to a particularly dry winter and spring season, lake levels are currently very low and are well below 50% of full supply level. The lack of access to the on-site water resources at the Beaufort Golf Club creates a significant risk of total loss of greens due to underwatering. Rectification and in some cases replanting and reseeding of the greens and surrounding gardens would require a significant financial investment to recover. Council has been informed that the cost to reinstate the green is in the order of $40,000 to $50,000 per green. Both the Beaufort Golf Course and the Beaufort Lake and surrounding precinct are significant tourism drawcards for the Pyrenees Shire, enhancing the livability of the local community. And the officer recommendation is that, as written, is that council decline the request to utilise Beaufort water to water the Beaufort Golf Course due to the current dry seasonal conditions, and that council continue to work with Central Highlands Water and Powercorp on behalf of the Beaufort Golf Club to expedite the resolution of the power connection issues for the recycled water pump. And through discussion, council may wish to consider a third recommendation to add to this, that council would support a limited supply of water from the lake to support the Beaufort Golf Club greens in the event that all other sources of water are exhausted.
Do you have that alternate one written down? Oh, perfect. So with that, that recommended recommendation, yeah, I would love to ask for a motion. Oh, thank you, Councillor Ferrari. You're happy with that as written? Yep. Beautiful. And number 3 added. Do I have a councillor to second that? The 3. Thank you, Councillor Phelan. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Ferrari?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whilst I'm very conscious of maintaining the water levels in the lake at this time of year, but this is a really exceptional circumstances beyond the control of the golf club or the council. And we just need to keep the ability to provide the emergency water to the golf club if necessary for asset protection until the current issues are sorted, which we'll keep in constant dialogue and hopefully get that done sooner rather than later. So there may not even be a need to use water from the lake. To lose any golf greens, etc., would be catastrophic for the club and in turn for the town. It would have a flow-on effect to the town. It is a great venue up there, and you know, to think that we just couldn't provide some water, granted the lower levels of the lake, but to maintain those greens, it would be terrible if we let those suffer, especially with some upcoming hot weather. So I absolutely support the addition of recommendation 3.
Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Well said. Councillor Phelan, would you like to add to that? Any other councillors on that? No, well, we'll put that to the vote with the 3 there. All those in favour, and that's carried. Thank you. And thank you for that optional one there too. The item number 12.2.2 is in reference to the Safer Local Roads and Streets program. So that's the update of that. Thank you, Mr. Gowans.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report seeks the council endorsement on the proposed projects to submit for the TAC-funded Safer Local Roads and Streets program. Pyrenees Shire Council has been developing projects over the last 6 months for this program, and it has been done to develop to a stage where they have received preliminary support from both the TAC and Department of Transport and Planning. The key areas of the program that the program is targeting are low speed or lower speed and mixed use roads and streets, intersections, and high speed local roads. As a part of the project development, 19 sub-projects have been identified to be funded within the Pyrenees Shire Council's $2 million allocation. And there are 4 kind of key areas. These include speed limit reductions and associated infrastructure, local area traffic management, shared paths, and the particular project of the Mount William Road intersection realignments at 2 localities. And those are detailed in the report, all those localities and works. And the Safer Local Roads and Streets program provides an opportunity to treat several road safety issues within Pyrenees Shire that would not normally be funded. And the officer recommendation is that council endorses the road safety projects listed in this report for submission to TAC.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gowans, and thanks for the detail in that report as well. May I ask a councillor who's willing to move a motion to that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Toll. Seconded, Councillor Wardlaw. Councillor Toll, would you like to speak to that?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I'd just like to say that if we can get better safety on our roads, dropping the speed limit, we've just had it dropped at Walborough and it's made a very big impact on the traffic flowing through. Just got to get the police to start enforcing it, but I'm sure that will come. But yeah, no, good work in the report.
Thank you, Councillor Toll. Councillor Wardlaw.
Being a postie in a town, Avoca, basically I'm on the motorbike, and the couple that they've got highlighted for Avoca, look, absolutely, you know, Homebush Road, people are just driving way too fast down there. There's a lack of visibility. If we can fix that, I will be greatly appreciative. And the other one is by the primary school there in Duke Street, to have a footpath along that side as well, and to slow the cars down and make the traffic aware that there actually are intersections, not just, I think will be very beneficial. So yeah, 100%, this is great. Thank you.
Thanks, so important. Thank you, Councillor Wardlaw. Any other councillors would like to speak to that? Councillor Ferrari.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this is a really worthwhile project, and as Councillor Toll said, anything that is going to improve safety is better. It's an excellent initiative, and if we think things don't happen in the country, check the data, because it tells a very different story. In fact, a lot of these serious collisions and even fatalities are happening in the rural areas, so it does happen with us. So anything we can do to minimise, mitigate, or make our roads safer, it's always going to be a good thing. So. great initiative.
Thank you, councillor Ferrari, and I don't need to say anything because it's been said, but totally agree with all that as well. We can't make our roads more, we can continue to make them safer. It's such an important priority. We'll put that motion to the vote now, please. All those in favour, and that's carried. Thank you very much for that. Item 12.2.3 is the Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program revision. And again, thank you, Mr. Gowings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to update Council on the progress of the Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program Phase 4 and for Council to confirm a revised allocation against existing projects. And all the projects that the Council currently committed to are listed in the report. However, during the design investigation phase of the Pound Lane drainage project, Council was required to undertake a cultural heritage assessment due to the proximity to the Avoca River. This assessment uncovered significant cultural heritage fines, resulting in the need to manage the risks relating to obligations under the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Heritage Protection Act. Council could move forward with that project, but there may be some risks in relation to time and cost issues because of that issue. And therefore, council officers are recommending to council to reallocate those funds that were assigned to other already approved LRCIP projects where there can be further benefits achieved within the funding timeline. And the reallocations include the following key projects, and I'll just call these ones out. The Avoca Streetscape Amenity and Avoca Curb and Channel, because it relates to drainage within Avoca, there's a clear link to improvements that would have otherwise come from the Pound Lane project. So we're saying that should be revised to include Rutherford and Russell Street curb and channel improvements. And there's two other projects that council may be aware of, that the McKinley Street Landsborough Bridge Rail Renewal Project, which council has actually, it will be considering a further report from the community on. There's an opportunity to expand this project to include an approach footpath from Burke Street to the pedestrian component of the bridge. And there's an attached drawing in the report that shows that potential expansion. And the final project is the Livingston Street Beaufort project, which is being suggested to be revised to accommodate a full streetscape works, which includes curb and channel, underground drainage, pavement and seal works in the southern part of Livingston Street. Therefore, it's the officer recommendation that council consider these particular projects, and that council endorse the reallocation to existing projects.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gowings. Do I have a councillor willing to move that? Thank you, Councillor Wardlaw. Seconded, Councillor Phelan. Councillor Wardlaw, would you like to speak to that?
Once again, the part I see standing out to me is the Avoca section. So I apologise for that. I realise there are other municipalities, but by shifting some of the funding to the amenity block, we really do have a lot of problems there with the drainage. And especially if you've got, well, just say Australia Day or something when the town's buzzing with people. So it'd be great to see some of that drainage sorted out and fixed up. And also, I'm well aware of Rutherford Street and Russell Street having problems. So it'd be just so good to see the funding go that way rather than, maybe get lost down the river somewhere. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Phelan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm also very pleased to see some of the funds used to expand the McKinley Street Landsborough Bridge Rail Renewal project. I think as was discussed in the first meeting, one of the reasons why children are walking along the road or along the bridge, on the road of the bridge, is because there's actually an interruption to the footpath. So really great to see that this gap in the footpath will now be addressed, and hopefully that will direct kids on their way to the primary school to get off the road and into a safer path as they travel to school. Thank you.
Well said, and very important. Thanks for feeling. Any other councillors like to speak to that? No, we're happy. I think, yeah, very wise decision to do that, to be able to complete those projects in the timeline. And both, as you said, both our councillors have understood them. They're really dire need to improve those areas. So we'll put that to the vote, please. All those in favour, and that is carried. We're now at item 12.2.4, which is the McKinley Street Bridge we just spoke about in Landsborough. And again, I'll hand over to Mr. Gowans. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide further information relating to a petition that was received and presented to the November council meeting in relation to the community seeking repairs on the McKinley Street Bridge in Landsborough. Council officers had previously identified the McKinley Street Bridge guardrail improvements as part of its regular condition surveys, and unfortunately further damage was caused by a vehicle breaking through the existing guardrail. Council has put in place temporary measures such as reduced speed and installed water-filled barriers to prevent further risk. And the McKinley Street Bridge has also previously been identified as having load limitations and is currently rated at under 30 tonnes. Council has designed a renewal for the guardrail, which requires a deck overlay for strengthening, and undertaking this work will remove the load limitation on the bridge. Further, the deck overlay allows for the installation of a modern Australian standard guardrail, which will provide a better standard for vehicle and pedestrian protection. Council intends to publish the design plans and specifications out to market in the coming weeks for response in early 2025, which will likely result in works being undertaken by no later than the end of this financial year. And the officer recommendation is that Council write to petitioners to inform of the proposed McKinley Street Bridge works at timing.
Thank you, Mr. Gowans. That's good to hear. But do we have a councillor willing to move that motion? Thank you, Councillor Phelan, and a seconder, Councillor Toll. Councillor Phelan, did you want to speak again, or you're happy with what you've already spoken about? It is very important, and we just want to get that moving. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Toll?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, it's terrific. As mentioned, we've got some funding available to do that. So we can give the residents of Landsborough a bit of a Christmas present. Don't just write to them and say it's going to happen. Tell them it is happening. They'll be very pleased, I think. Well done.
Thank you, Councillor Toll. Any other councillors before we put that to the vote? And we'll now put that to the vote. All those in favour? And that's unanimously carried. Item 12.2.6 is in relation to the Bourke Street subdivision road realignment. Thank you again, Mr. Gowans.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report is for Council to consider approval of the proposed realignment of roads at 26 Bourke Street to enable road deviations. The subject land is currently accessed by 3 roads, or paper roads, that were created by the original layout of government roads in 1863. And there's some diagrams contained within the report that show what the original alignment was. Pursuant to Schedule 10, Part 2 of the Local Government Act, Council may deviate a road through private land, Crown land, or land held under licence. Under Schedule 10.2 Part B, where a proposed road deviation would result in the vesting of land in a council, it requires the consent of the Minister administering the Land Act. The proposed realignment provides a road layout that facilitates effective property access and enables the adjacent freehold land to be better utilised to meet Council's needs. The road realignment will enable subdivision of the land into more than 30 allotments. And there's both a layout plan of the proposed road realignment and also a proposed plan of subdivision that will come to a future council meeting for endorsement. The officer recommendation is that Council resolves to seek the consent of the Minister administering the Land Act 1958 to deviate the unmade roads at 26 Bourke Street, Beaufort, in accordance with Clause 2, Part 2 of Schedule 10 of the Local Government Act 1989. The plan of road deviation is to be in accordance with the plan prepared by Beveridge Williams, Surveyor Reference 2302078.
Thank you, Mr. Gowans. Do I have a councillor happy to move a motion in regards to that? Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Seconded by, thank you, Councillor Wardlaw. And Councillor Ferrari, would you like to speak to it, Councillor Wardlaw? No, it's kind of, yeah, anyone else? No, we're happy to put that to the vote. All those in favour? And that is carried. I will now vacate the seat for item 12.2.6, which is in regards to planning permit PA 24040, and I'll ask Councillor Ferrari, would you mind taking that? Well, actually, we're going to have someone vote for Councillor Ferrari take their seat just for that. Thank you. Moved, seconded, all those in favour? Thank you very, very much. Thanks, Councillor Ferrari.
Okay, move on with item 12.2.6, planning permit PA 24040. Mr. Gowans.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This report's purpose is to inform the council about the drafting of planning permit PA 24040 and to seek a decision by council in respect of the conditions for the permit. The council resolved to issue planning permit PA 24040 for a two-lot subdivision of land at 325 Warborough Talbot Road, Warborough. This report contains a set of drafted conditions and explanatory comments for each. And it's the officer recommendation that council notes this report and that council issues the permit with the conditions as outlined in this report.
Council, do you have a recommendation there? Anyone like to move that or make an alternative? Like to move that? Someone?
Thank you, councillor Ferrari. After this discussion on this today, I think we're being too onerous on the conditions implied by the planning department and discussions, and I understand we've had, what was his name again?
James Oliver.
James Oliver was explaining the reason for that. We probably haven't done enough in the planning section yet in our mandatory training to make a correctly informed decision. So probably at this period of time, we're going to have to accept what's put in front of us. But I would say in future, we'll have to accept everything on a case-by-case situation. Thank you.
So you need to move on. Yes, I'll put that recommendation that was put to us again. Do I have someone to move that? Yep. Do I have a seconder?
Okay.
Seconder. Would you like to talk on that, Beck?
Just from thank you. Just from my own experience with planning and things that we've done in the past, we've had to have some conditions on that may have seemed a bit onerous at the time, but in the long run didn't really affect us along the way. I see the issues, but I also think for the sake of the people, we need to move this one on and let them work out the finer details. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Woodall. Anyone else like to speak on that? Councillor Phelan?
Thank you. I do agree with Councillor Wardwell that we probably need to move this one on, but I do think that in matters of planning permits, we do need to consider the cost and the time, the additional time that this is taking. And, you know, we understand that potentially this will be an impost of, you know, maybe a couple of $1,000, but on top of everything else, it's not a small amount of money. And I do think that, you know, we really need to look to minimise some of the non-mandatory conditions. But again, in the interests of moving this on, I'm happy to support the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Tom? I think it's true to say that there's for the benefit of the community, there's a great deal of conversation going on behind the scenes with the councillors in relation to planning permits and perhaps some suggested changes. It's a work in progress. It can't happen in 5 minutes, but there is a lot of discussion going on about it. And I think it's also important to mention that through the election period, your voices were heard loud and clear, and that's been the context of the conversation with the councillors at our briefings, etc. So And every matter will be just examined on its merits, because they're not always exactly the same. So every one that we have to look at will be examined on its merits, and we'll make the decisions that need to be made. So all those in favour? Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Pleasure.
Thank you again, Councillor Ferrari. That brings us to item 12.3.1, which is our procurement policy. And now I will ask Ms Bramwell if she's happy to speak to that report, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose is for the council to consider and adopt the revised procurement policy. The Local Government Act requires council to prepare and adopt procurement policy, and the existing procurement policy has been reviewed and revised to ensure alignment with the MAB best practice procurement guidelines for 2024. It retains much of the former document developed collaboratively with other councils to maximise a consistency of approach. Changes made to the policy are listed or summarised in the report, but no change was made to the document thresholds or any financial matters within the policy. And it is supported by authorised financial delegations and by a range of procedural documents again, which are listed in the report. Feedback was sought from internal staff and from Council's Audit and Risk Committee, and they recommended its adoption by Council. So it's the officer's recommendation that Council considers and adopts procurement policy 2023.
Thank you, Ms Bramwell, and thank you those that have put the effort in and then checked that as well. So I now put that recommendation to be moved by Councillor Phelan and seconded by Councillor Ferrari. Councillor Phelan, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thanks for the work on this. Really important, of course, for government that they have strong procurement processes in place. And also, I'm sure all the councillors agree that having really strong contract management capability within council is also a critical part of being able to deliver the procurement policies.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Phelan. Noting that. Councillor Ferrari, would you like to speak to that? Any other councillors? I think it is incredibly important, as Councillor Phelan said, and there's a whole lot involved in that, but certainly the contractual side of it is something we'll be definitely looking at very tightly in this coming term as well. So thank you for that again. Thank you again, Ms Bramwell, and we'll put that motion into the vote. All those in favour, and that is carried. That brings us to item 12.3.2, which is the recovery update, which is a report from Jane Bowker, but Ms Bramwell will be speaking to that again. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report provides an update for the council and community on recovery activities arising from the October-November 2022 flood events and the February 2024 fire event, and relates to activities in the last 3 months. As this is a regular report that comes to council and community on the activities undertaken with regards to recovery, I'll take the report as read, and it is. I will note that there is a snapshot included in the report of the entire funding summary and those claims that are still awaiting payment. The officer's recommendation is that council notes the progress made against required recovery actions in the flood recovery plan and bushfire recovery plan, and continues to advocate to government in respect of the disaster recovery funding arrangements and for further funding to provide long-term support for individuals, communities and businesses to recover well and build resilience. Thank you.
Yeah, incredibly important. Again, thank you, Ms Bramwell, and pass on to Ms Bowker for that report. Do I have a councillor willing to move that motion on that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Phelan, and seconded Councillor Wardlaw. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Phelan? No, happy. Any other councillors? I just will note there's a lot of effort that goes into this, and just a part there in the community engagement, I wanted to highlight that, you know, residents, farmers, rec groups, community organisations, business owners, they're continuing to be contacted to make sure that they can continue to recover from organisations such as Council, the Ballarat Health Service, Recovery Hotline Team, DECA and AgVic as part of the ongoing support. So it's really important, and it's really important if people are still feeling those effects that they reach out, because that's what we're here for, and really important that we continue so that people can fully recover and move on from this event. So in light of that, and also that those claims, you really want to make sure those claims, as Ms Bramwell has spoken about, to make sure people are fully reimbursed for those. So with that in front of us, all those in favour? And that is carried. Thank you. And that brings us to item 12.3.3, which is the rates waiver for historical societies. Again, thank you, Ms Bramwell.
This report seeks council consideration and approval of a request to exempt payment of the rates charges for the Snake Valley and District Historical Society Incorporated. The former council in recent months approved rate waivers for the Beaufort Historical Society in June 2024, and for the Avoca Historical Society and the Lansbury Historical Society in August 2024. And at that meeting, council resolution included a requirement for council officers to investigate other historical societies in similar circumstances and provide a future update to the council. One more society has been identified, which is rated, which is the one the subject of this report. For the new council's information, the reason why suddenly historical societies have been rated on the properties that they occupy is due to a change in registration by the state government in 2022, I believe, which passed all financial obligations relating to all courthouses and the buildings we sell. Excuse me. To the actual societies themselves, and as a small memberships, they have very limited ability to gain any revenue. So that's why the rates waivers were implemented in the past. Excuse me. So the recommendation is that council waives the current rates deck in the amount of $599.25 for the Snake Valley and District Historical Society, and grants an exemption against issuing rates notice relating to their assessment for the years 2025-26 and 2026-27, and requires council officers to report back in early 2026, providing a status update on the circumstances around the matter to facilitate a future decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Bramwell. Do I have a councillor? Thank you. Councillor to second that. Thank you, Councillor Toll. Councillor Ferrari, would you like to speak to that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The historical societies across our area, they provide a very important service and undertake at times some very tedious work of recording and preserving our history. They essentially don't have a means of raising funds unless through donations, as Ms Bramwell has alluded to. We've assisted other historical societies with their rates, and waiving the mentioned amount is the appropriate way that we can assist Snake Valley. I'm sure the community will get a lot more in effort and commitment provided through the outstanding volunteers and commitment provided through these societies than what the costs of the rates waiver will be. So I fully support that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Well said. Councillor Toll, would you like to speak to that? Any other councillors? I know they are incredible, our historical societies, and they do it off their own volunteer hours and often off the smell of an oily rag. So they're really, we want to support them as well as we can. So yeah, definitely echo your comments. So now I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? And that is carried. Thank you. Item 12.3.4 is the Audit and Risk Committee report. Thank you, Ms Bramwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide the council with an update of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 27th of November. I will take the majority of the report as read. Just two key things to mention is the tenure of one of the independent members on the committee, Mr. Brian Keane, ended on the 29th of November. After 4 years on the committee, and we are undergoing recruitment for a suitable replacement at the moment. And the committee work plan for 2025, the Act requires the committee and the council to adopt an annual work plan. And this was endorsed by the committee and it's now attached for council approval. So it's the officer's recommendation that council notes the information contained in this report and its attachments and approves the 2025 Audit and Risk Committee work plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Bramwell, and I know councillors have read and pursued those reports, so I'll put that recommendation or ask for a motion to be moved. Thank you, Councillor Wardlaw, seconded Councillor Phelan. Councillor Wardlaw, did you want to speak to that? No. Councillor Phelan, any other councillors? I will just, again, thank you to all the effort that people that are members of the Audit and Risk Committee put in, and a particular thank you to Mr Brian Kane for his 4 years of service. We're very grateful for that and his input. I'll now put that motion to the vote. Those in favour, and that motion is carried. Thank you. That brings us to item 12.4.1, and that is the 2025 council meeting schedule. Thank you, Mr Nolan.
So councillors, and thank you, Madam Mayor, this is an opportunity for council to set some meeting dates for meeting for 2025. This is, as I understand from discussions this afternoon, still a work in progress. There is a schedule that's before you in the report, and the recommendation is to adopt a schedule to provide some forward planning opportunity to program presentations and the council to schedule meeting times, etc. However, it is only an important from the point of view of the council meeting cycle for the community to be aware in terms of setting meeting dates for the formal council meetings. And as such, councillors, if you're not in a position to endorse the attached schedule, then you may consider just setting a meeting date for the next council meeting, whether that be in February or in January. There is a recommendation that council not hold an ordinary meeting in January unless there's an urgent need arises, in which case council may choose to set a council meeting date for February, and at the February meeting date, you might be in a position to then endorse further meeting dates for the rest of the year. So, Madam Mayor, in the context of the discussion this afternoon, I recommend that council, one, not hold an ordinary meeting in January unless there's an urgent need arises, in which case public notice can be given at short notice, but otherwise not have an ordinary council meeting in January, and that council set a council meeting date for February for the next ordinary council meeting.
Thank you. Did you get that? Well, first of all, is there a councillor? Would you like that motion? We someone wanting to move a motion similar or adding a date that you would prefer? Yeah, Councillor Phelan, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, thank you, Mayor. Yes, we agree with the recommendation that we feel there's no need for a January council meeting unless something urgent arises, but we do intend to still have briefings to be able to discuss and progress matters. I would like to move a motion that we move the February date to this Monday, the 17th. For the council meeting, if that suits fellow councillors and executive staff, and that we then decide the rest of the year's schedule.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Phelan. That's good to move on that. Do I have a second for that? Yeah, happy. Thank you, Councillor Toll. And I'm just checking, Shane, you got that new recommendation. Thank you. So we have that. Any further discussion now? Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Toll? Other councillors, you're happy? So we'll put that to the vote, that recommendation from Councillor Phelan, and that is passed. Thank you. That's a good move, I think. So a busy year ahead, but we'll be able to to work on that in February again. And as Councillor Phelan said, we won't be standing down in January. We'll still be working, but just not having a formal meeting during that month. We're now up to item 12.4.2, which is the Municipal Association of Victoria matter that we just need to fix up. Thank you, Mr. Nolan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the last ordinary meeting of council actually made the motion to appoint councillors as representatives on various committees, and council nominated the mayor as the representative on the MAV. However, it's just come to our attention that it's necessary as part of the governance rules for the MAV for members to actually appoint an alternative representative as well in the event that the primary representative is unavailable. And so, Madam Mayor, I just put a recommendation that council nominate a councillor as a substitute delegate to the Municipal Association of Victoria Committee for 24-25 term.
I'm looking around. Is someone willing to nominate someone?
I nominate Mayor Councillor Kerr.
Oh, no, so I already am. Sorry, we need another second one. Yeah, apologies. And so I will attend, and I'm hoping to attend, but it's a recommendation we have to have.
Just ask for a motion.
Yeah, so can I ask for, may I ask for a motion that someone nominate someone? Can all look at each other? Yes, Councillor Phelan.
Thank you. I would like to nominate Councillor Wardlaw.
Oh, yeah, I think you'd be, yeah, that's a very good nomination. Would someone like to second that? Councillor Ferrari? I think Councillor Wardlaw would be fantastic, but hopefully you won't be able to, you won't need to, sorry, correct. So we'll put that to the vote then, that Councillor Wardlaw be a substitute delegate to the MAV committee for the 24-25 term. And all those in favour? Sorry, I know Councillor Toy, you're getting ready. Thank you. There, it doesn't matter. It's passed anyway. Thank you, Councillor. Oh gosh. We're up to item 12.4.3, which is the grants during the election period matter. Thank you, Mr. Nolan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. During the caretaker period, council didn't hold council meetings, and there were a number of state grants that were available, and council actually lodged 2 grants, one under the Tiny Towns Fund for an Avoca sculpture project, and one in Beaufort for an off-leash dog park. The details of each of those is contained in the report, and Madam Mayor, I just ask that council endorse those funding applications made for those 2 projects.
Thank you. Do I have a councillor willing to move a motion to that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Phelan. Seconded, Councillor Wardlaw. Councillor Phelan, would you like to speak to that? Happy, Councillor Wardlaw. Other councillors? So yeah, gosh, I think it's the important one to move. So all those in favour? And that is carried. They're great grant opportunities, and thank you for moving on them during quite a tight period there. So thank you again to all officers involved. That brings us to item 13, which is councillor reports and general business. And I might put Councillor Wardlaw on the spot if she doesn't mind, to mix it up a little bit. So thank you, Councillor Wardlaw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the beginning of my role as councillor has, well, I've hit the ground running basically. As you can imagine, November, December is a busy time of year for everybody anyway. As I mentioned in the last meeting, I was at Remembrance Day in Avoca laying the wreath. We've had, as you can see through our, what do you call them, activity reports, that we've been to councillor induction briefings, statutory meetings, ordinary council last month meeting, and mandatory training. I've also been to the Audit and Risk Committee meeting, which I did virtually, but I still attended. I was lucky enough to go to the Bigabilla Christmas market, representing everyone that was there. There was probably 75% locals from the whole Shire that had come, so it was fantastic. On the 1st of December, I assisted in setting up the Christmas decorations in town, including the big Christmas tree that has lights flashing and, you know, the reindeers and everything. So that was really good. It was actually an enjoyable experience. We had many tangled up items, and it took about an hour and a half to untangle things and 10 minutes to put them up. So it was great. This Wednesday coming up, I've got a lunch at the Senior Citizens in Avoca where I've been asked to say the prayer. And I've also got the pen presentation on a Thursday night at the Highland Society. And then on the 21st of December, we've got our Christmas town party on the Avoca River Flat. And I'll be at that as well. So that's basically what I've been up to in my first month. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Wardlaw, and going first cab off the rank tonight. Thank you. Councillor Phelan.
Thank you, Mayor. And I won't repeat some of the induction and statutory meetings that Councillor Wardlaw's already mentioned, though I will add that I was very happy to sit and have a glass of new release rosé at the Biggie Villa Christmas market with Councillor Wardlaw, and just to say how impressive it was to see that turnout. We think close to 400 people, so there's clearly a real appetite in the community for this sort of event. I did suggest to the owners of Biggie Villa that they might also want to consider Christmas in July, and then thinking about getting into business or financial year kind of mode. I thought perhaps they could have a quarterly Christmas market as well. So anyway, really fantastic event and great to see the effort they went to. I also had a pen presentation for the Pyrenees cluster at Lexton Hub on the 2nd of December, and just there was 6 children graduating, finishing up year 6, and so very small in number, but that did provide the opportunity for principals to speak about the journey that each one of those students has taken, and it was really moving event, I have to say, and great to think those young children are going to be heading off now to secondary school. And the only other one that I would add, it's actually tomorrow evening, is I'll be at the Moonabel Committee of Management meeting for the Moonabel Recreation Reserve tomorrow. So looking forward to seeing how that goes, and I think election of new committee members.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Councillor Phelan. Very busy time. Councillor Ferrari.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, those inductions and briefing days have been to. I also went to the Cyril Callister Vegemite Forum, which was very enlightening, and I'd just like to say well done to Liza for her great work there and commitment. She's battled on with that, and it's really, really successful, so well done, Liza. Attended the Beaufort Football Netball Club AGM. They've got a strong team to lead the club next year. Didn't do so well this year on the football field, but the netballers did really, really well. And they've recently won a Lightning Premiership. I think it was in Ballarat. So the netballers are looking really good again. And I know that the team have been very busy behind the scenes trying to get a bit more spark into the football on the football ground. So they've made a few signings. So hopefully we'll turn things around. But I do say, please, people in Beaufort, support your football and netball club. It's really important for the town, and it's a good social outing for those people, and it's a great place for people to meet, not just to watch the football, but to catch up with old friends and have a chat. As we know, council will be closing for a short time over the Christmas period, so please check the Pyrenees Shire website for more specific information, so you won't get left in the lurch. If you need something, there'll be some information on there how you go about accessing that. Myself and some trusty helpers will be providing the Christmas lunch on Christmas Day again. So bookings are at the libraries or the Pyrenees Community House, and it will be starting at 11:30 with dinner served, all going well, by midday. So we look forward to doing that. And as this is the last meeting before we have a little short break, I'd just like to wish all present and across your municipality a very Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Well said. Councillor Toll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So there's been 7 council meetings and inductions since we started this task, which has been interesting. There's only one a month, apparently. Jim has probably signed up to 7, but anyway, we're getting there. Had two pen presentations, had one at Warborough, which was fantastic. The kids there absolutely spilled the beans on everything that's going on in their family lives. And hopefully tomorrow night at Trawalla, the kids will do the same there. Then last week we had a meet up with Anne Webster up in Avoca, which was terrific. She was very enlightening on a few things, and we're there early, so I went to the Avoca Primary School art show at the art gallery, and I think the theme was dogs or something, and they've done a fantastic job. And look, that art gallery up there, run by volunteers and everything, is just fantastic. And Mark Pilgrim and Hugh there just doing a brilliant job. And they mentioned about the rate waiver for the Historic Society. What else has happened? The Warborough Football Club, sorry, Councillor Ferrari, they've recruited very well. I've handed in my resignation as president, been that for the last 9 years. I've handed that in, and it's in very capable hands there. So I think Warborough will still be on top of Beaufort this year, but anyway, time will see.
Very healthy role.
We're on camera.
And then the most important thing in the social calendar this year is for a council is the Springs Hotel 2nd anniversary of being open, which was a community event that it's a community owned pub, which we got together obviously 2 and a bit years ago. And it's been fantastic for the community, lots of employment. And it's just bringing a lot of people to the town. It's been a destination point for travellers. So we can wrap this up. We can get over there and celebrate that. That'll be great. Thank you.
No, thank you. That's congratulations to them all, Councillor Toll. I think it's what a breadth of activities and just shows the amazing community we have across the municipality. For me, just to run over, I think I already spoke about the Beaufort Ag Show and the arts show opening that I went to last month. Incredible. Again, so many people putting so much effort in and brings community together, just like Councillor Ferrari said about our football clubs and Councillor Toll. They really are important events to be able to get together. We've had training, of course, and inductions. The Cyril Callister event, I think there's just so many exciting things to come from that. It's really watch this space. And again, Liza and co, it's incredible. And it's going to be so much fun to really put us on the map through such an identifiable product that we have that's come right from here. I had a Mag Dam committee meeting too last month. Mag Dam, an incredibly beautiful spot in Snake Valley, and this a very refreshed and ready committee to utilise such a beautiful asset that we have there. I had a GBAC meeting. That's great to meet the other CEOs and mayors of the Greater Ballarat councils, allied councils. So really good things. We're going to be advocating so strongly over this next 12 months to really grow our region and to get that funding and get those opportunities that we need. We also had the Councillor Cuppa at Snake Valley last week. That was beautifully attended, and it was so exciting to be able to show that area off to new councillors that may not have been there. I'm incredibly proud of that area, and I hope you'll enjoy it ourselves. I know that the responses from residents, they were just absolutely rapt that we were there and that we were hearing what they needed to say. We had residents from across the Shire. It wasn't just Snake Valley people there. So again, thank you for your time, councillors and exec, for being there. I also had a pen presentation at Snake Valley Primary School, Wody Yallock Snake Valley campus. Again, there were 6 kids there, beautiful kids. Like, they are absolutely the heart and soul of our communities, and so proud of those kids for what they've done and taking those opportunities as they move into the next part of their education. I was at the Twilight Christmas Market, and although I was given the job of judging some very beautifully decorated Christmas trees, and so the pressure was on, but gosh, it was an incredible community event. There were like everything there, for delicious food and products, but music galore, and we had local girls playing there, and it was just, as well as some incredible talent, some opera singers and everything, just so well done. So again, congratulations to that whole team who put that on. I have coming up Christmas carols in Snake Valley, again an awesome event which will be on this Saturday if you're not busy. That's from about 4 to 8 this coming Saturday. There's picnics, there's activities, there's beautiful hymns. So that's at the Carnham Uniting Church. I had the hospital's annual general meeting coming up as well. I also had the Beaufort Secondary College We had our final meeting at the beautiful Flywheel just last night. Again, an incredible secondary college. We are so blessed with the school and the commitment that the teachers and the students put in. It really is a great little community. And tomorrow night I've got the Beaufort Primary School concert over the road here, and I know we saw them setting up today, so that will be super exciting. I know there's at least three excited kids in my household ready to get up there on stage, so very excited about that. One less exciting thing, just note bin changes over Christmas, so that's on our website, and there, you can check that out or ring the offices if you're worried about which bins are being collected over that period. And finally, I will be the same as Councillor Ferrari and really wishing all residents a really happy and very safe Christmas. Be careful on the roads. Do enjoy this time and enjoy the weather. Although I know farmers will be busy, I wish you all well with your harvest, but do have a lovely Christmas season. And I thank you for all your support. As we've started as this new council, I'm very excited about the new year. So thank you, that's all from me. We'll now move into closed council. So may I have someone move into closed council? Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Seconded, Councillor Phelan. All those in favour? And we will move, and we thank the gallery for tonight too. Have a lovely Christmas.
Thank you.
Councillor Phelan.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because